evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the finals of Buddy Wars. It has been a long road. It has been a hard road. It's been a road filled with controversy and chaos. But finally, we are here. I am your host, Nick McGee. I am joined today by two titans of fantasy booking. I'm joined by El Capitan. How are you, sir?
I am doing quite well. I have been anticipating this day for a good long while. It is time for the captain to dethrone the king.
And I am joined by the king of professional wrestling, the Drip King himself, Jimmy Bebe. How are you, sir?
As you can tell, I am fully ready for any kind of conspiracy nonsense that's coming my way today. Got the protective gear, and I'm ready to take down this shipless captain once and for all and claim my spot upon the throne.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let's get to the rules. I don't know where that keeps coming from, Jimmy. I don't know if you pay people off at YouTube or what, but you need to stop dropping that into my broadcast. I've had enough of this conspiracy nonsense.
The king has power. The king has money. You can't fuck with the king. You can't do it. You can try all day. You can try all week. You can try all month, year, century. I don't care. You can't stop me. You can't stop royalty.
Right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen.
The sweat in my headband is worth far more than the money you put into that video.
Back to the rules, ladies and gentlemen.
After your death.
Turn one will be decided by a coin toss, as you both well know. You will have this week, gentlemen, I have a caveat for you. As it is the finals, you have a choice. You can either remain with the times as they are standard, 15 minutes with a 5-minute overtime for your main book, 10 minutes for WrestleMania, 5 minutes for the worst pay-per-view ever. Or you may have an extra 5 minutes for your book, losing 5 minutes from your WrestleMania book. Up to you. What would you decide?
Yeah, I'm taking an extra 5 for the booking because, I want people to hear my masterpiece. This is great news. This is fantastic news. I thought I was going to have to cut some things short. So as long as Captain's on board with this, which he should be, he's a captain. That's what they do. They get on board, and we can do this thing.
I will take the extra 5 for my book as well.
Right. Right.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
That is a big
Let's
release.
get straight to it. Right, gentlemen. Captain, you can call the coin toss.
All right. I
Heads
am
or
calling
tails?
heads.
It is heads, sir. Would you like to go first or second?
I will defer and allow James to go first.
Okay, Jimmy.
You little shit. Don't call me James. Fighting words.
Okay, Jimmy.
You know the rules. Off come the glasses so I can read this visibly.
Okay, Jimmy.
So, 25 minutes.
25 minutes in total. 15 minutes with a 10-minute overtime. I'll give you 5-minute intervals as you go down. Are we ready for round one?
I am ready.
Right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
First things first. WCW Thunder has been canceled. There is no reason for this promotion to have 5 hours of television every week. It's not needed. We're canceling WCW Thunder effective immediately after Mayhem. So we're at week 1. Bret Hart comes out with his new WCW World title on the shoulder. He comes to the ring and he talks about how much it means to be the champion and how he hopes to bring prestige back to it. He also hopes this brings in much needed change to the show in general. We get some music hit. It's very familiar, but not familiar enough for people to be figure out what it is. Out comes William Regal, and he's dressed in a nice, the suits William Regal wears. He enters the ring and he gets on the microphone. He congratulates Brett, and then he starts to talk about the change that Brett was hoping could come to the show. When the powers that be were brought in, Regal was in the running for that job as well. He interviewed for it. And since then, he's met with Ted Turner quite a few times. And with the show getting worse and worse and worse, not better, they've decided to pull the plug and go in a completely new direction because it's needed. They're trying to stop the sinking ship from happening. The powers that be are gone, and now William Regal will be taking control. This is something I pulled from WWF because he worked so well in this position in WWF. So we're bringing it to WCW in hopes that it can move this ship in the right direction. They're going to go back to a wrestling show because that's what it's supposed to be. And his first act of business will be they'll find out who Bret Hart's opponent will be for the biggest show of the year, Starrcade. So to do that, tonight they will be holding a 10-man battle royal in the main event, and it will consist of the following. Jeff Jarrett, Chris Benoit, and Sting, since they all were in the semifinals of the previous tournament to figure out who was going to be the champion. Scott Hall, since he's Scotty 2 belts at the moment. Goldberg, Buff Bagwell, Ming, and Vampiro, since they all won it the previous night, will be in it. Dr. Death Steve Williams will be making his debut tonight in the Battle Royal. And Booker T will be, since he has been a staple of the company since God knows when. Bret Hart says he likes the sound of this. And Regal also states the powers that be gone. There will be no more funny business going on. Come back from a commercial. We're back to the show. Creative Control is in the ring waiting for the Filthy Animals for their tag team match. Regal comes out to the entrance ramp and states that Creative Control lets them know if they don't win the tag titles tonight, their services will no longer be needed because all they have proven to be good at was kissing ass and attacking people on behalf of the powers that be. Since the powers that be are gone, so will they be if they cannot prove themselves. After that, Regal leaves, Filthy Animals come out. Filthy Animals win this match when Kidman hits a Hurricane Rana pin, 1, 2, 3. Creative Control loses their freaking mind as Conan and Kidman celebrate to the back. Commercial break, come back. Creative Control is still in the ring, and they are throwing a fit. They dare Regal to come down and fire them and to make them leave the ring. Music hits. Out comes Brian Adams and Brian Clark. They walk to the ring with purpose. They climb in the ring, no funny business, and they completely destroy Creative Control. They then leave the same way they came back in. Waltz right in, waltz right out. Backstage, Lex Luger is furious with Miss Elizabeth for costing him his match the night before with Ming. Had he not sprayed him with the mace, it could have been him in the Battle Royal tonight winning a chance to face Bret at Starrcade. Elizabeth apologizes many times over, but Lex is not listening. Back in the ring, Norman Smiley has a microphone, and he's dressed up as a football player again. Now that he's solidified himself as the king of hardcore by winning the championship the night before, he wants the world to know he has no desire to slow down and will be doing an open challenge each and every week to anybody that thinks they can dethrone the king of hardcore. Brian Knobbs' music hits. He comes to the ring with a trash can full of weapons, and he chases Norman Smiley out of the ring as he goes off screaming at the top of his lungs, as Norman Smiley did. Commercial break. Come back. Regal is in his office going over some paperwork. Jeff Jarrett busts in, guitar in hand, and he is mad. Regal puts the phone down and asks Mr. Jarrett what he can do. Jeff explains to him that this is unfair, that he has to win a battle royal to win some. He has to win a battle royal. I'm the damn chosen one, in case you haven't heard, Slappy. Regal states that those silly little nicknames no longer hold value and that he should be thankful for the opportunity. Now move along because he has stuff to do. In the ring, Saturn versus Eddie Guerrero. Great match. Just shows what they can do. Eddie Guerrero picks up the win after a frog splash. In the back, we hear screaming down the hallway. Norman Smiley is stumbling down the hallway as he's trying to get away from Brian Knobbs. Brian Knobbs manages to catch up to him. He smashes the lid over Norman's head, says, "You're not hardcore. You're not even a man." Norman Smiley starts to crawl away, and he escapes. Disco Inferno versus Canyon. A much better match than people will give credit to, but Canyon wins. Commercial break. Norman Smiley is still screaming as he runs to the parking lot, trying to find a car to hide behind. As Brian Knobbs is yelling, "Where are you at, punk?" A car alarm goes off. Norman lets out another scream, and he runs as Knobbs sees him and starts chasing away again. Back in Regal's office, Juventud Guerrera is asking for an opportunity. He feels like he's been overlooked and wants that to change. Regal lets him know he has the opportunity for him, so head to the ring. Guerrera is ecstatic, and he runs out of the office. We transition to the ring where his music hits, and Juventud comes out with all smiles. He stands in the ring and waits. Unfamiliar music hits. Out comes Jushin Thunder Liger, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. This match is a fantastic match, as you would probably guess it would be, as it actually did happen. And Juventud ends up winning this closely contested match.
5 minutes gone, Jimmy.
Ooh. When he surprises Liger with a roll-up, and he is your new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Battle Royal time. Bret Hart on commentary for this. Steve Williams eliminates Vampiro. Ming eliminates Buff Bagwell. Steve Williams and Ming meet face-to-face at one point while everyone else is down, and they fight each other. Chris Benoit eliminates Scott Hall. Lex Luger comes down to ringside and distracts Sting, which allows Ming to eliminate Sting. Goldberg eliminates Jeff Jarrett. Jeff hops back on the apron and smashes the guitar over the back of Bill's head. It doesn't faze Bill at all, and he turns around and grabs Jeff by the throat. As this happens, Steve Williams comes from behind and eliminates Goldberg. Ming eliminates Chris Benoit and then is immediately eliminated by Dr. Death Steve Williams. It's down to Steve Williams and Booker T. Dr. Death just manhandles him for the most part, but when he goes for a clothesline over the ropes, Booker T ducks it, comes back with a jumping sidekick that sends Steve Williams over the top. Booker T is your winner and will go on to Starrcade to face Bret Hart. After the match, Bret Hart enters the ring and shakes Booker T's hand. End of the show. Week 2, Booker T starts the show. He's excited. He's excited for Starrcade. He's been grinding since day one. He's not going to let this opportunity slip by him. He thanks Regal and Bret. Bret Hart comes out. He's happy for Booker to get this opportunity. And whereas he thinks Booker will have his time, it's not going to be now. Jarrett comes out. Jarrett complains he's still the chosen one, no matter what Regal says. And he's not going to stand by and watch Booker take the spot. Goldberg comes out. He says if anybody's gotten screwed over, it's him. Jeff Jarrett stuck his nose in his business, and he wants the shot. Booker T says he understands Bill's frustration. The hell with Jeff Jarrett, and he'd be willing to put up his shot at Starrcade against Bill Goldberg tonight in the main event if that's okay with Bret. Bret agrees. Commercial break. Come back. Evan Courageous versus Dean Malenko with Medusa and Asia at ringside. This is just a basic match that ends up seeing Dean Malenko win. No, Evan Courageous wins. But during this match, at the end, Asia and Medusa get into it. Evan Courageous tries to stop it, but as he holds back Medusa, Asia knocks her out. Backstage, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash come across Chris Benoit, who's sitting alone. They make fun of Benoit for coming up short. Benoit then points out that he eliminated Scott Hall. Scott gets upset, and they beat Benoit down. Juventud is in his locker room, and he is celebrating as the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. He's got decorations everywhere, and he's just happy. He said after beating Jushin Liger that anything is possible. Norman Smiley versus Brian Knobbs, basic hardcore match where you see Norman screaming most of it, trying to get away, and in the end, he does as he ends up tackling Brian Knobbs through a table, because he's dressed as a football player once again, and he picks up the win. Backstage, Miss Elizabeth is seen apologizing to Sting for what Lex did last week. She has issues with Lex as well. Maybe she can help Sting. Sting says, no, thank you. He'll take care of Lex by himself. Buff Bagwell versus Steve Williams. Steve Williams destroys him. Benoit goes into Regal's office. He's furious he got jumped and wants Scott Hall or Kevin Nash tonight. Regal thinks a title match sounds stupendous, and since Scott has 2 of them, it's okay. He then let Benoit know that Scott will decide which title he wants to defend later, and Benoit likes that idea. Liger versus Billy Kidman. Liger picks up the win here after a great match. As Conan helps Billy Kidman up in the ring, Brian Adams and Brian Clark come out to the ring the same way they did against Creative Control. They come in, they destroy them, and they leave. Lex is in the back, scolding Elizabeth. Last week, you screwed me over, and then with my match with Ming, and this week, you're trying to get in cahoots with Sting. He reminds her that her contract is through him, and he owns her. She apologizes. He doesn't want any more funny business in the match tonight with her. He grabs her by the arm and drags her away. Lex Luger versus Canyon. Ms. Elizabeth pulls out the mace again to try and use it, but Sting comes down and takes it away from her. She apologizes. Lex is making me do it. Lex comes over to scold Sting and tells him to leave her alone. As he turns around, flatliner. Canyon wins. After the match, Ms. Elizabeth follows Sting to the back. Benoit is walking to the ring. He walks past Eddie Guerrero, and they share a moment. Eddie wishes Chris luck. Fist bump. They walk off, and he walks off. Scott Hall versus Benoit. Scott says he'll put the TV title on the line. Nash tries to get involved, but ends up hitting Scott by accident with the U.S. title. And in the process, Benoit knocks Nash off the apron and then hits a flying headbutt to become the new TV champion over Scott Hall. Backstage, Booker is lacing up his boots to get ready for his match. And then on the other side, it's a dual camera. And on the other side, Goldberg is pacing back and forth.
10 minutes gone, Jimmy.
Ooh, fuck. Goldberg versus Booker T. Bret Hart comes down from commentary. Halfway through the match, Jarrett comes down. Goldberg tells him to leave. This gives Booker T an opportunity to take control. Booker T goes for the pin after hitting a scissor kick, but Jeff Jarrett distracts the ref. Goldberg gets the advantage and hits a spear. He then hits the jackhammer. As he goes for the pin, Jarrett pulls the referee out. They start arguing. Bret Hart comes over from the announcer table and tries to break it up, but Jeff Jarrett slams the guitar over his head. Choke on that, slap nuts. The ref looks on, not sure what to do before getting back in the ring. Goldberg turns around and gets a jumping sidekick from Booker T, who then goes to the top and hits a Harlem hangover on Bill to pick up the 1-2-3 over Goldberg. Booker T wins and keeps his title shot. Jarrett slides in behind him and hits the stroke to Booker T to be the last man standing. Week 3, Goldberg storms in the Regal's office. He's tired of getting screwed by Jarrett, and he wants his rematch with Booker. Regal says Booker pinned you clean in the ring, 1-2-3, and that's not fair. He then says that I have something that you might like instead. He tells that Bill he has a match with Jeff Jarrett at Starrcade in which the winner will be the new #1 contender. Bill accepts. Benoit versus Disco Inferno, TV title match. Benoit wins. After the match, Revolution comes down. Shane Douglas says Benoit is a coward for defending the title against Disco instead of someone more deserving like Malenko or Saturn. Benoit points that neither of them are deserving either. Saturn tries to attack. Benoit fights him and Malenko off. Douglas backs up. Asia forearms Benoit to the back of the head. They all start stomping him down. Out comes Eddie for the save. Commercial comes back. Juventud with his IWGP title celebrating. Liger comes out and points to the title. Juventud says he needs to not only prove himself, but have something of equal value to bring to the table if he wants a rematch. Juvi is big time now. Liger shakes his head and goes to leave, but Guerrero attacks him. Norman Smiley is walking backstage in SWAT gear. He's cautiously walking, looking for any kind of danger. Back from commercial break, Norman Smiley is in the ring. The King of Hardcore has proven himself 2 weeks in a row now, and he's managed to keep his title. Nobody is more hardcore than Norman Smiley. Out comes Bam Bam Bigelow. Norman takes no time to immediately run away screaming his head off. Bam Bam yells at him, "You can run, but you can't hide." Benoit storms in Regal's office. He wants Saturn and Malenko now. Regal says he's not going to let Chris's emotions get the better of him, but he will do a tag team match, Benoit and Eddie versus Malenko and Saturn later tonight. Kanyon versus Hugh Morris. Kanyon wins. Kanyon is walking backstage after his win, runs into outsiders. They mockingly tell him good job after his hard-earned victory. They share a laugh. Kanyon barks back that Scott did a good job on losing his TV title last week. Kevin chuckles a bit. Scott gets mad. He decks Kanyon, and then he throws him into the wall. They leave. Brian Adams and Brian Clark versus La Parka and Psychosis. They destroy him. Regal checks on medical personnel that is checking on Kanyon. He's not happy with what just happened in the hallway, and he says that because of that, Kanyon will face Kevin Nash next week, and if he's able to beat Kevin Nash, he will face Scott Hall at Starrcade for the United States title. Steve Williams versus Dustin Rhodes. Steve Williams destroys him. Afterwards, Steve Williams says, "Is there anybody around here that's worth a damn?" Out comes Ming. He climbs in the ring. Steve Williams leaves the ring. Luger is interviewed backstage. He says that he's done with Elizabeth after her constantly getting in his way. If it wasn't for her, he'd have won at Mayhem. He would have won last week, and he would have handled Sting by now. Now that he's free of Elizabeth's incompetence, he challenges Sting at Starrcade. Liger versus Elix Skipper. Good match. Liger wins. Medusa cuts a promo. She calls out Asia for sucker punching her last week. As they finish, they start to walk away. They cross paths with Jushin Liger. He points to Evans' cruiserweight title. Evans shakes his head. Yeah. They walk away. Eddie Guerrero and Malenko versus Eddie and Benoit versus Malenko and Saturn. Malenko picks up the win over Eddie after Benoit accidentally hits Eddie with a clothesline. Benoit checks on Eddie, but he seems understanding of that it was an accident. Jarrett comes to the ring. He's not happy with having to face Goldberg at Starrcade. He's the chosen one, damn it. But if taking that big goof out is all it's going to take, then so be it. Sting interview. He accepts Lex's challenge. Elizabeth shows up. She begs Sting to protect her. Sting says no. He's not getting dragged into this. Booker T comes out. Jeff Jarrett was already in the ring waiting. Brett's at commentary again. He goes to use guitar. Goes to use the guitar on Booker, but Brett yanks it out of his hand. Jeff goes back to the match. Booker's in control. Goldberg comes out. Booker ends up getting the win with no interference, just people at ringside. Goldberg slides in after he gets ready to spear Jarrett as he waits for him to get up. Jeff sees it and he just rolls out of the ring. But Brett gets up and throws Jeff back in the ring. He grabs the guitar and slides in himself. Booker is still in the corner celebrating, not paying attention to everything that's going on. Jeff stands up. Goldberg goes for the spear. Jeff moves. Goldberg spears Brett on accident. Jeff rolls out of the ring. Booker T looks back, and he sees that Goldberg is standing over Brett. He thinks Bill speared Brett, and he starts attacking Bill Goldberg. As this happens, Jeff comes back in the ring and picks up his guitar. He hits Bill over the back of the head again.
15 minutes gone, Jimmy.
Goldberg looks back and says, "Are you kidding me?" And Jeff runs away. Booker T then spins Goldberg around and kicks him in the gut and hits a scissor kick to end the show. Week 4, Filthy Animals. They want Chronic at Starrcade for what they've done. Regal says yes. Evan Courageous and Jushin Liger for the Cruiserweight title match. Juventud comes down for announcing at the announcer table. Liger wins a great match to become the new Cruiserweight champion. Asia comes down to attack Medusa after the match. They brawl to the back. Hoovy comes in and holds the IWGP title in the air and points to the Cruiserweight title that Liger holds. Liger holds his up in the air. You are now getting Jushin Liger versus Juventud title for title at Starrcade. Backstage, Lex is yelling at Elizabeth again. After all he's done for her, this is how she repays him. He has given her chance after chance after chance to prove herself, and he can't take it anymore. Elizabeth apologizes. Lex says it's time she feels what he had at Mayhem. So he reaches into his pocket and pulls out mace. Elizabeth runs away. He chases after her. Bret Hart comes to the ring and he's angry. He calls out Goldberg. Booker T comes out and he lets Bret know, you don't need to be worried about Bill right now. You need to be worried about the man standing in front of you. He points to the title. Before Bret can respond, Goldberg comes out. He gets in the ring. Bret shoves Booker T out of the way and attacks Bill. Booker jumps on Bret. Security breaks it all up. Regal comes down the ramp and says they'll have a tag team match tonight. Can they coexist? Goldberg and Jarrett will take on Bret and Booker. If anybody touches anybody of their partner during this match, they lose their match at Starrcade and Bret loses his title. Norman Smiley arrives at the arena. He goes to his trunk to get his stuff. As he shuts the trunk, Bam Bam Bigelow is standing behind him. He slams him on the trunk. He throws him on. He goes up on top of the car with him and then ends up body slamming him into the windshield. Norman screams in pain as Bam Bam is yelling down at him. Kenny versus Kevin Nash. Scott Hall is on commentary, and he's got his feet propped up because he knows Kevin Nash has this in the bag. As Nash goes for the jackknife powerbomb, Kanyon pulls his feet out, slips down, lands in front of him, and hits the flatliner. He pins Nash 1, 2, 3, clean in the middle of the ring. As Scott tries to get up and break it up, he stumbles to the ground, and Kanyon escapes with the victory, which means he will take on Scott Hall at Starrcade. Medusa and Asia are still fighting. It gets broken up. Regal steps in and says, you guys can have you guys want to fight so much, you can do it at Starrcade. And in the process, we're going to crown our first ever women's champion while we're at it. Conan versus Bryan Adams. Bryan Adams destroys Conan, and that's it. They end up attacking Kidman on the outside after the match and powerbomb him through the announcer's table. Backstage, Elizabeth is running down the hallway from Lex still. She runs into Sting and pleads with him to help. Sting looks around, and then he takes her into a door to get her away from Lex. The camera pans over to see Lex rubbing his hands together around the corner. The plan is falling into place. Revolution comes to the ring. Shane Douglas says after last week, Malenko and Saturn won when they won the tag match, they should both be awarded a shot at the TV title. Benoit comes down and accepts. Eddie comes down and stops him, says that wouldn't be fair. Shane Douglas then says, we'll make it a 4-way, and then Benoit agrees. But then Shane Douglas says, no, that's too easy. Anybody can pin or submit anybody on any given day. We need to make this more interesting, and since the motto backstage right now seems to be climb that proverbial ladder to success, we're going to make it a ladder match. So we will have a 4-way for the TV title at Starrcade. Regal is finally getting comfortable in his office. In comes, the door swings open. Bam Bam is dragging Norman Smiley by the hair into the office. He drops him, and he says he wants Norman Smiley at Starrcade for the hardcore title. William Regal says yes, just get him out of here. Bam Bam grabs him by the ankles and drags him out as Norman Smiley is trying to grasp onto anything to get free. The last you see him is around the corner. Steve Williams, Ming versus Hugh Morris. Ming wins this easily. Afterwards, Steve Williams attacks him with a chair. 1 shot doesn't phase him. 2 shots doesn't phase him. A 3rd shot to the head drops Ming to a knee. As William goes for another, Ming pops up and puts the tongue in death grip on Steve. Steve uses the chair to break free and then runs away. Bret Hart and Booker T versus Jeff Jarrett and Goldberg. As Goldberg took the majority of this match, as he goes to tag Jeff, Jeff drops off the apron and refuses to tag in. As this happens, Booker T hits him with a side kick to the back. He pulls him over, tags in Bret. Bret puts on the sharpshooter. Goldberg refuses to tap. Booker T reaches in and tags himself in. As Bret Hart still has the sharpshooter, he hits the Harlem Hangover to the back of Goldberg's head. Bret lets go of the sharpshooter. He pins him 1, 2, 3. Bill Goldberg has been pinned again by Booker T. Jeff slides in the ring with the guitar. He spins Booker around and swings for his head, but Booker T pulls Brett in front of him, and Jeff smashes the guitar over Brett's head. Booker T then takes out Jeff Jarrett with a heel.
20 minutes gone, Jim.
Okay. He looks around and sees that nobody's standing. He grabs the title and stands in the ring lonely, by himself, holding the title in the air. End show. Starrcade. Norman Smiley versus Bam Bam Bigelow. Norman is dressed as a pirate. I wonder why. Looks like a boat captain. Bam Bam Bigelow destroys this man for all the match. They find themselves on top of a truck, an 18-wheeler trailer. Somehow Norman Smiley has gotten his hands on a sword. He makes Bam Bam walk the trailer like a plank. Bam Bam has no choice but to fall off the edge. Norman jumps off the trailer into the dumpster and lands on Bam Bam. The ref climbs up, looks in, counts 1, 2, 3. Winner and still hardcore champion, Norman Smiley. Conan and Billy Kidman versus Chronic. That's right. They were named Chronic during commentary. So they are here already for the WCW Tag Team title. Chronic absolutely destroys them, and they win the titles. That's all there is. They're going to be a dominant tag team since there is no tag team division while they build it up. Dr. Death, Steve Williams versus Ming. Two giants. They just beat each other up for all of this match. Steve Williams hits a power slam, but Ming kicks out at 2. He hits another power slam. Ming kicks out again. As he goes for another one, Ming hits him with the tongue and death grip. Williams falls to his back and rolls out of the ring to break the hold. Ming goes out of the ring. Williams comes in the ring. As Ming comes back in, Steve Williams hits him with a third power slam and gets the win. Dr. Death, Steve Williams is your winner. Medusa versus Asia for the women's title. These two women beat the hell out of each other, but in the end, Shane Douglas uses the cast on his arm to hit Medusa in the back of the head, and Asia is your first and new women's champion. Kanyon versus Scott Hall. Scott Hall comes out alone. He asks Kevin Nash earlier to stay back. He's got this. He toys with Kanyon for a good bit of this match, but in the end, he stops the first comeback. He stops the second comeback, but the third comeback, Kanyon is able to take control. He hits the flatliner, and he pins Scott Hall clean in the middle of the ring to become your new United States champion. Lex Luger versus Sting. Miss Elizabeth comes out middle of the match. It's a great match between these two, as you would expect, but in the end, Elizabeth gets on the apron and tries to spray Sting with the mace, but Sting turned around and grabbed her wrist. He saw it coming the whole time. Lex then tries to attack Sting, but Sting moves, and Lex almost runs into Elizabeth, but he stops himself. He scolds Elizabeth, turns around, and he gets a right hand from Sting, which sends him into Elizabeth, knocking her to the floor. Sting looks on in disbelief as he's worried. He checks on her for a moment, enough time for Luger to recollect himself and hit a forearm club to the back of Sting and then put him in the torture rack. Sting fights it for as long as he can, but eventually he has to tap. Winner by submission, Lex Luger. Lex Luger then helps Elizabeth get up, and they walk to the back to reveal it was part of the plan. Juventud versus Jushin Thunder Liger, champion versus champion. Fantastic match. Winner, Juventud Guerrera. 4-way for the TV title. Imagine TLC level of creativity between these four. I put this in there because they are the Rascals, and I like the little nod to it all. In the end, Eddie takes out Saturn with a frog splash, which in turn takes him out as well. Benoit and Malenko end up on the ladder. Benoit ends up knocking Malenko over and grabs the TV title. He is still your TV champion. Jeff Jarrett versus Goldberg. This match goes exactly how you think this match would go. In the end, Jarrett goes to the outside and he grabs his guitar from under the ring. Commentary states, "You've already tried that, slap nuts." As Goldberg grabs it by the hair, Jeff Jarrett swings it over his head and knocks Goldberg out clean. He gets in the ring and pins him. 1, 2, 3. He then reveals that there was a brick inside the guitar. He is now the new number 1 contender. Bret Hart versus Booker T, world title match. Booker T plays the underdog to perfection here. Bret works the leg for most of the match. Booker hits his scissor kick, but his leg is hurt and he can't make the cover. In the end, Bret goes to the sharpshooter and Booker refuses to tap. Bret gets frustrated. He lets go of the hold and puts on a vicious tirade that focuses on that bad leg. He then reapplies the sharpshooter, and after fighting it for so long, Booker T finally has to tap out as the tears flow from his eyeballs as he feels like he just failed his one moment. Winner and still WCW champion, Bret Hart. After the match, Jeff Jarrett comes out on the entrance ramp, points to Bret to let him know he's got next. Bret holds his title left. End show.
That, sir, was a masterpiece. Jimmy, I don't know what to say. That was more than I could have expected. That was absolutely fantastic. Sting, the most swerved man in the universe, got swerved again. Absolutely love it. A brick in a guitar to knock out he who should not be named. Awesome. Chronic coming in early. Love that. Absolutely adored Chronic.
Tag team is horrible. The tag team division is horrible.
It's awful. Flipping and using Liger, who was available at the time. Absolutely marvelous choice. Right, let me think. Star rating. I will give you a 4.25 stars, sir.
I'll take it. Oh, what was I about to say? What I was really proud of there is Sting didn't get swerved because he saw it coming, but it still wasn't enough.
It still wasn't enough.
Still wasn't enough. And I wanted to make sure Goldberg suffered for what he fucking did at this show.
Yes.
I made him suffer greatly.
Yes, you did, and you completely agree with this. I loved it. 4.25 stars. Captain, are you prepared to retort?
Oh, I am more than prepared to retort.
Let me just get this set up. Right, Cap. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go.
Great idea by Jimmy. Thunder is canceled because there is a God. We're starting the Nitro after Mayhem. Bret Hart is down at the ring being interviewed by Mean Gene. Down comes Chris Benoit. Benoit wants another shot at the championship tonight. Bret respects him, believes he has earned it. He wants to be a fighting champion. He will grant Benoit the rematch tonight. First match on Nitro, Lash LaRue defeats Evan Courageous to become the new Cruiserweight champion because, as I stated previously, there is a God. Moving on to our second segment, Scotty Two Belts Hall gloats about his successful double title defense the night before. Down comes Eddie Guerrero, who says he is sick and tired of guys like Hall and Nash keeping their thumbs down on the fellas like him. He wants a shot at the U.S. title tonight. Hall tells him, no way, you got to prove yourself. But if you can defeat Big Kev tonight, you will be, I'll think about it. I'll give it some thought. Guerrero accepts. Kanyon defeats Berlin and La Parka in a triple threat match to become the number one contender to the TV title. The reunited Harlem Heat defeat the Mamalukes. Eddie Guerrero and Kevin Nash. Hall attempts to interfere. Hall tries to hit Guerrero with both the belts. Guerrero ducks. Hall knocks out Nash. Guerrero rolls him up, gets the victory. Looks like Guerrero's going to be getting his shot after all. Next match on the card, Jeff Jarrett versus Sting is going to be a no contest quick because very upset with how he's been used lately. Down comes Diamond Dallas Page, and he goes after both guys. After he takes out Sting and Jeff Jarrett, he grabs a microphone, said he's done screwing around with the David Flairs of the world. He wants to reclaim his rightful place in the sun. Mic drop, walks out. Main event of our first Nitro, Chris Benoit versus Bret Hart. This is going to go the TV distance. It's going to be a 30-minute time limit draw. It's going to be a hard-fought match, but in the end, Benoit is going to tap out to the sharpshooter, not to the sharpshooter. It's a 30-minute time limit draw. Bret has him in the sharpshooter, but Benoit doesn't tap. Benoit pounds the ring in disgust. He's upset. The referee hands Bret the belt. We fade to black as the two men are staring to each other from outside the ring. Week 2, we have Dean Malenko and Saturn defeating Billy Kidman and Conan to become the new World Tag Team Champions. This happens because while Conan is in the ring, he gets shoved into Billy Kidman. Kidman goes down and hits the guardrail. Kidman shakes it off, grabs Torrie Wilson and just walks out, leaving Conan by himself. And obviously Conan can't take out both of them. So we have him tapping out to the Texas Cloverleaf. Malenko and Saturn are your new World Tag Team Champions. We got a promo. Eddie Guerrero is on the amp with Gene Okerlund. He defeated Kevin Nash last week. He wants to know when he will be getting his title shot with Hall. Down come the Outsiders. Hall tells him he did defeat Nash, but he only said he would think about it. He has thought about it, and he doesn't believe Eddie Guerrero is in his league. Tosses the toothpack at Eddie. Eddie looks around, and he slaps the taste right out of Scott Hall's mouth, kicks Nash square in the nuts, and the brawl is on. We get the big pull apart with Hall mouthing at him, and we know there's going to be more to this story. Reuniting a tag team I used in my previous book, Hugh Morris and Bam Bam Bigelow get a win over Brian Knobbs and Jerry Flynn. Lash LaRue successfully defends the Cruiserweight title over Kaz Hayashi, but during the match, before, during, and after, actually, Lash LaRue is doing some very mocking routines of Kaz. Pick your poison on Japanese Asian mockery. Lash LaRue is going to be built as a big-time heel. And he will go on to successfully defend that Cruiserweight title over the next few weeks. against the Japanese guys in the promotion. Harlem Heat reunited. They take out Creative Control. Looks like they're going to try and reclaim their throne. Shane Douglas comes out for a promo with the new tag team champions, Malenko and Saturn. Douglas cuts a promo on all the old guys who have worn out their welcome, have always tried to hold the guys like himself, Malenko and Saturn, down. Guys like Flair, Terry Funk, Hulk Hogan, and most of all, Dusty Rhodes. Well, here's the music. Down comes Dustin Rhodes. The crowds erupts. Dustin tells him he was never held down. None of those guys are ever held down. They just weren't good enough to make it because they didn't have it. His father may not be here, but if Shane wants to whip on a Rhodes, he will gladly meet him on Nitro next week. Douglas accepts, and we have a stare down as we go to break. Canyon, who the week before won the #1 contendership to the television title, faces Scott Hall. Looks like Scott Hall is about to have a very successful title defense. Although it was a pretty even match, he has Canyon up for the outsider's edge. Boom. Out from the ring pops Eddie Guerrero. He pulls Canyon down. Hall's wondering what the hell happened. He turns around. Canyon grabs him, hits him with the flatliner, and before Kevin Nash can make the save, 1, 2, 3, Canyon is our new world television champion. Hall is pissed. Nash is pissed. Eddie is running back up the apron. The good old lie, cheat, and steal has that smirk on his face. And Hall looks at him and says, you want it, you got it. So we know we're going to get a match between these guys coming up. And then our main event on our second week of Nitro, it's going to be a fatal 4-way #1 contenders match. It is going to be Chris Benoit against DDP, against Sting, and against Jeff Jarrett. The winner of this match is going to go on to Starrcade to face Bret Hart for the world title. Typically 4 great workers in here. It's going to be something awesome. But DDP and Sting are going to reignite their rivalry from the past spring. They're going to be fighting on the floor. Jarrett's going to attempt to go for the stroke. Benoit counters into the crossface. Jarrett taps. Benoit has won. He is the #1 contender to face Bret at Starrcade. He will get one more chance. December 6th, Nitro. Canyon successfully defends the world television title against Buff Bagwell. Billy Kidman has a match with Conan. He defeats him with help from Torrie Wilson. It's clear Kidman is going to be a solo now. And then we get to one of the best promos ever in wrestling that I actually kept. Rick Steiner wheels Scott Steiner out to the ring in a wheelchair. Scott announces that his injury is going to have to cause him to retire from the sport. He wants to thank all of the fans. He wants to thank all of the boys in the back. He's going to go around to each and every one of them. Thanks his brother. Thanks everyone he has gotten to, share this glorious ring with. And he hopes that he can be a great ambassador for pro wrestling in the coming years of his life. Next match, Shane Douglas defeats Dustin Rhodes with a franchise neck breaker after a low blow. Dustin gets color after Douglas had sent him into the ring post. After the match, Malenko and Saturn come down. It is a 3-on-1 beatdown. Dustin is left laying in the ring. Later on in the show, Mean Gene Okerlund has Dustin in the locker room. He's still covered in blood. Dustin tells Douglas he ain't afraid to bleed and he ain't afraid to fight. He reaches into his bag. He pulls out a bull rope, the same one that Dusty had used many times. If Douglas has the guts to go one more time, you show up at Starrcade, I'll bring the bull rope and we can settle this once and for all. Harlem Heat defeat Hugh Morris and Bam Bam Bigelow. After the match, down comes Rick wheeling Scott Steiner to the ring. Scott is applauding. Rick, helps Scott out of the chair. He, gets him, up the steps, to the ring, tells him to hold on, grabs his wheelchair, walks back up, puts the wheelchair in the ring and, puts Scott in it. Scott gets a microphone. He wants to congratulate Booker T and Stevie Ray on winning this match. They were the best tag team that the Steiner brothers ever faced. He knows that they are back to try and restore their standing as the greatest tag team in WCW history. And he wants to congratulate them. And it's an honor once again to share the ring with them. And he wants, can we just get one last, shot of the 4 of us in the ring together? Rick wheels Scott, over around. They're all facing the hard cam. Well, out from behind the wheelchair comes the lead pipe. Scott Steiner stands up, levels Booker and Stevie with the lead pipe. The stomp down continues. Scott was never hurt. It was all a ploy because Scott Steiner was never, ever going to allow any team to say that they were better than the Steiner brothers. Ever, ever, ever. So we leave that with the Harlem Heat laying on the ground. Scotty was never hurt, and they get absolutely booed out of the building. Our next match, it is going to be for the U.S. heavyweight title, Eddie Guerrero versus Scott Hall. Eddie goes, puts on a phenomenal match. He and Hall, it is back and forth. Guerrero's about to hit the frog splash on Hall. Nash pushes him down to the floor, picks him up, tosses him back in the ring. Referee, he calls for the bell. It's a disqualification. Hall gives him the outsider's edge. Nash gives him the jackknife. They have just left Eddie Guerrero laying in a heap. Hall and Nash, walk back up the ramp. Mean Gene confronts them, asking, what in the hell are they trying to do? As they're, doing this quick little chat with Mean Gene, Eddie Guerrero has procured a microphone, and he, stumbles up. He's holding himself up by the ropes. He hollers at him. He curses Hall for being a coward, says he can't do it, says he cannot do anything without Kevin Nash, and if he was a man, he would face him again. Well, being the outsiders, Hall tells Eddie, all right, you want some more? Well, here's what we'll do. You want another shot at me? All right. I'll give you a match at Starrcade if you can beat me and Big Sexy next week with a partner of your choosing, if they've got the stones to actually come up against us. Eddie says he accepts, but if he does win, he's got a special stipulation he wants to throw in. If he gets Hall at Starrcade, it's going to be in a cage match where Kevin Nash cannot interfere, cannot do anything. It'll be one-on-one. Outsiders accept the terms. We've got our match set for Nitro next week. Now, we have our contract signing. Bret Hart and Chris Benoit. Table set up. Gene Okerlund's in the ring. He welcomes back the returning head of the WCW Executive Committee, James J. Dillon. Brings out the number one contender, Chris Benoit, then the champion, Bret Hart. Both men are dressed, slick as could be. Contracts laying in the center of the table. J.J. Dillon explains that based on the outcome of their match at Mayhem, and most importantly, their match 2 weeks ago, the WCW Executive Committee has decided that in the interest of truly settling the score and crowning the true world's heavyweight champion, that the match at Starrcade, in addition to having the traditional 60-minute time limit, will be a 2 out of 3 falls match. And if, in the event that at the end of that match, at the end of that 60-minute time limit, if it is tied, there will be a panel of judges who will make the final decision and crown the world champion. Gene asks either man if they have anything to say. Benoit takes the microphone. He tells Bret again about the level of respect he has for him, the Hart family. It was a privilege to train with Stu, how he felt the loss of Owen as much as any member of the family, but that he is the number one contender and that he is going to push Bret to the limits that he has never been before, and that he will leave Starrcade as the new world champion because he will be the silent but violent Canadian crippler, even if he has to cripple Bret to win that title. Chris signs the contract. Bret takes the mic. He tells Chris he has more respect for him than any other man in the business. How he took it as a personal pleasure that back in May, he got to face Benoit in the tribute match to Owen. But he also reminds Chris that in that match, he won. He also reminds him that in the match at Mayhem, he also won. And that 2 weeks ago, after 30 minutes, Benoit still wasn't able to get a fall on him. He tells him that he is the number one contender, but this is your last chance because I will not face you again. You have so far proved that you are not worthy to hold this World Heavyweight Championship belt. This is your last chance, Chris. You better make the most of it. So Bret signs the contract. The two men have a decent little stare down. Starrcade is in 13 days, 2 out of 3 falls for the heavyweight championship in the world. The match to end the millennium, live on pay-per-view in Washington, D.C. Main event of the show, DDP defeats Sting via disqualification. Sting tries to finish off Page with a Scorpion Death Drop. Page turns it into a Diamond Cutter, goes for the pin. Out pops Jeff Jarrett to the ring with 2 guitars, breaks one over each guy's head, stands atop both of them with the victory sign. He believes he is the chosen one. And it just seems that we cannot get anything sorted out between these guys. Go home show for Starrcade. where was I? Billy Kidman defeats Buff Bagwell. He will face Canyon at Starrcade for the television title. A segment of the Cajun Couch featuring Lash LaRue. He's sitting out in the ring. He's talking about, the great run he's had so far as Cruiserweight champion, and even in 3 weeks, he's the best Cruiserweight champion that WCW has ever had. We don't hear any music, but down from the ring, we see the one and only Sonny Ono making his way down to the ring. Ono gets in the ring, and Sonny Ono tells, Lash, you've been facing all the Japanese wrestlers that WCW has, but there's one that you haven't faced. And if you're willing to take the proposition at Starrcade, I will promise you a $100,000 check versus your Cruiserweight title. Lash says, no, I don't trust you, Sonny. I want it in cash. Sonny says, all right, but I will bring it in cash, but you'll be facing the most decorated Cruiserweight champion in WCW history. Lash says, all right, no problem. Sonny goes to leave. Lash, so who am I facing? You'll see. So we're left stunned with that. We get 2 singles matches between Rick Steiner versus Stevie Ray. And then later on in the show, Booker T against Scott Steiner. Both are going to be some schmozzes because clearly these guys have more to settle. Sting comes out to the ring. He is not announced. It's unexpected. He asks for a microphone. He says he's had enough of Diamond Dallas Page. He's had enough of Jeff Jarrett. And he wants to issue a challenge for Starrcade. An old school triangle match. Jeff, Page, and Sting. And, oh, by the way, J.J. Dillon, if you're listening, I think you'll find your new number 1 contender at the end of that match. So what do you say, boys? Is it showtime? Obviously, I think we know what's going to happen there. We get a 6-man tag. Dustin Rhodes, Hugh Morris, and Bam Bam defeat Shane, Malenko, and Saturn. A little warm-up to their match. We have our main event for the night. It's going to be Eddie Guerrero against the Outsiders with a mystery partner. Outsiders come out. Eddie Guerrero standing in the middle of the ramp. Whose music hits? None other than Chris Benoit. He's got a world title match coming at Starrcade. He's going to help out his buddy tonight. So as the match goes, match is going to be, your basic television tag team match. Eddie's going to get the pinfall on Hall after a frog splash while Benoit has Nash in the crossface on the opposite side of the ring. Eddie's going to get his cage match with Scott Hall at Starrcade. And as Gene Okerlund interviews the boys before the end, Benoit tells Brett, you've backed me into a corner, and when you back a rabid Wolverine into a corner, you have pushed him to the limit where you can no longer contain him. All right, here we go. Starrcade. This is going to be a fairly short card. Opening match, WCW Cruiserweight title. Lash LaRue comes down to the ring. Down comes Sonny Ono. Sonny Ono has the briefcase. He pops the locks. There's the $100,000. He asks him, who am I going to face? Ono points towards the ramp. Down comes the Ultimo Dragon. The crowd absolutely pops here for the most decorated cruiserweight in the history of WCW. LaRue and Dragon have a hell of a match. LaRue is going to try and take the easy way out any way he can. Dragon attempts the Dragon Sleeper. LaRue counters into the Whiplash. 1, 2, 3. LaRue retains, snags the briefcase from Sonny Ono. And LaRue is just going to be the absolute big heel. He's going to be our next Chris Jericho. World Television title. Billy Kidman goes over Chris Kanyon in an absolute offensive clinic. But in true heel fashion, Torrie Wilson slips Kidman the brass knucks. He knocks out Kanyon. Shooting star press. Kidman's our new World Television champion. Match number 3. Tag team grudge match to determine the number 1 contenders for the tag team division. Steiner Brothers and Harlem Heat. This is going to be a slugfest between 4 great teams. Suplexes, hard hits, scissor kicks. But in the end, it's going to be the Steiner Brothers who go over here, and they will be the new number 1 contenders to face Saturn and Dean Malenko. Match number 4, Texas Bull Rope match. Shane Douglas versus Dustin Rhodes. This is going to be a bloody fight mess. Both guys are going to get color, beat the living hell out of each other. But at the end of the match, just as Malenko and Saturn run down to try and save Douglas, out come Hugh Morris and Bam Bam, hold them off. lariat from Dustin Rhodes. Bulldog 1, 2, 3. He has defeated Shane Douglas and earned some honor back for the family. Triangle match, Jeff Jarrett, Sting, and DDP. Your classic triangle match. See Starrcade 1995. Just as each guy hits a finisher, the other one's going to tag himself in either off the back or the shoulder or the body part. No guy can really get a pinfall. You've got 3 tremendous workers here. This is going to go for about 20, 25 minutes until finally Page goes for a diamond cutter. Jarrett counters into the stroke. Sting slaps Page as he goes down, tags himself in, breaks up the pin. Sting clotheslines Jarrett over the top rope, goes out after him. Page is still down from the stroke. Jarrett grabs the guitar, kabong, Sting. Jarrett gets back in the ring. Page hits the diamond cutter out of desperation as Jarrett's trying to pick him up. Jarrett rolls down to the floor. We got 2 guys on the floor. Page is still in. The referee starts counting them both out. Jeff Jarrett's just about to get back in the ring. Sting grabs him by the hair. Scorpion death drop on the outside. Page wins by double countout, and we still have more to go from Sting and Jeff Jarrett because they can work their ass off, but Page is your new number 1 contender. United States title, steel cage. Eddie Guerrero versus Scott Hall. These guys are going to beat the hell out of each other. Eddie's going to get some really good JBL-esque color. Not that bad, but esque color. Eddie will give him the rolling suplexes, go for the cover. Hall gets the shoulder up. Eddie falls flat on his back. He can't put Hall away. Hall staggers up, still groggy, punches the ref in the jaw. It's a cage match. It's no disqualification. He knows he's 1 move away from losing that belt. He digs the key to the door out of the ref's pocket, tosses it over the cage to Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash unlocks the door and comes in, grabs Eddie, jackknife powerbomb, outsider's edge. Nash hands the key back to Hall. Hall stuffs it back in the ref's pocket. Nash goes back outside and locks the door. Hall manages to get the referee awake again. We think it's routine at this point. Ref has a slow count from being groggy. Eddie gets the shoulder up at 2 7/8. He is still alive. Hall is frustrated as hell. Nash is losing his mind. Hall picks Eddie up for another edge, gets him up. Eddie kicks Hall in the back, grabs him by the legs. Slingshot into the bar of the cage. Hall gets some color. Eddie picks him up for the brainbuster and connects. Nash is losing his damn mind. He's trying to get back in the cage, but he handed the key back to Hall so that when the referee woke up, he would still know it. Nash can't break the lock. He can't break it. Eddie starts to go up to the rope. He decides, nah. He goes up to the very top of the cage, and just as Nash is trying to climb up the cage, Eddie gives him the bird. 5-star frog splash Van Damme style or Eddie Guerrero style down to Hall on the mat. Referee wakes up. 1, 2, 3. We have a new U.S. heavyweight champion. It is Eddie Guerrero. He hollers to the timekeeper, throw me the belt. Overcomes the U.S. title belt from the top of the cage. Eddie's got the belt. Hall is down. Nash is livid. And Eddie Guerrero is going to be one of our top stars, as he should have been. How much time do I have, Nick?
You have 5 minutes.
All right. 2 out of 3 falls, 60-minute time limit, world heavyweight title match to end the millennium. Our judging panel, Harley Race, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and the returning Nature Boy Ric Flair. We get 20 minutes into this one before we get our first fall. It is going to be Brett working on Benoit's back over and over. He gets the first fall around 20 minutes in. He gets Benoit in a small package. Benoit absolutely pounds the mat in disgust during the rest period. He's down a fall. He cannot get a fall on Bret Hart no matter how hard he tries. Benoit goes into full-on Wolverine mode, starts laying it into Bret Hart, throwing everything he can at him, goes for multiple pinfalls but can't get it. 40 minutes in, Benoit will catch Bret in the crossface out of a Russian leg sweep. Bret taps out, evening it at 1 apiece. Bret now realizes Benoit, if he gets him in the crossface, he can make him tap. Both men know this has been very close. They do not want it to go to the judges. Each tries desperately to get that third and final fall, but the clock is ticking. Last few minutes, Bret gets Benoit on the sharpshooter against the ropes. Bret picks Benoit from behind, but Benoit spins back. 1 German, 2 German, 3 German. Bret kicks out. 2 minutes left. Bret gets Benoit to the top rope for a superplex. Benoit blocks it once, blocks it twice, knocks Bret down to the mat. Benoit gets himself up, hits him square in the mush with the missile drop kick. Benoit manages to get up. He's staggering. 20 seconds left. Climbs to the top rope. He's trying to get as much as he can. 10 seconds. Hits the diving headbutt halfway across the ring. Collects himself in just enough time. Covers Bret, grabs the leg. We get a 1, 2, 3, a mere fraction of a second before the bell rings. Chris Benoit is the new heavyweight champion of the world. Confetti flies. Benoit is still laying on his back. The referee lays Big Goldie down on Benoit's chest. The judge panel applauds this absolute 8-star match. Screw you, Dave Meltzer. Down to the ring comes Eddie Guerrero wearing his newly won U.S. title belt. He helps up his friend Benoit. Benoit is exhausted. He can barely stand. He finally did it. Brett is up, and before Benoit can raise the belt, Brett snatches it away from him, turns his back on Eddie, and as Eddie is holding Benoit up, everyone is looking at Brett hunkered over in the corner with Big Goldie. Brett turns around, walks over to Benoit with the belt, extends the belt towards Benoit, and we see his mouth saying, "Owen would be proud of you." Brett, Benoit, and Eddie share a hug. Brett and Eddie raise Benoit's hands. Brett departs the ring. Benoit has his celebratory stand on top of the ropes, holding Big Goldie aloft. He is the new world heavyweight champion of the world. He's not going to WWE. He is going to lead us into the new century. Have a good night from Washington, D.C.
And time. Very nicely done, Cap. You managed to work in a lot of old school booking. I like the triangle match. That was very cool. I haven't seen a triangle match in years. I like the fact that you reignited DDP and Sting's rivalry. It's my favorite rivalry of Sting. Very, very good. Brave what you did with Benoit, considering.
I was going to say, that was very brave of you.
Brave what you did with Benoit, considering. Very brave. But fantastically booked. Fantastically well done. 4.2 stars.
I'm the winner, baby!
There's still things to go yet.
Silly voting.
There's still things to go on yet. My star rating has not been finished. Right, gentlemen, are you prepared for round 2?
No.
At least you're honest, Jimmy. Right, gents. Because I'm a git, I thought long and hard about what WrestleMania to give you for this week. And I thought to myself, could have been WrestleMania 4, but I thought that was too obvious. It's just that there's too much of a challenge. But at the same time, it's too easy. So I went with a WrestleMania that's got one good match. I went with the WrestleMania that has no singles matches on the entire card. Ladies and gentlemen, you have 5 minutes to rebook WrestleMania 16. I will give you 2 minutes to prepare.
Oh, holy mother of... Oh, no. No.
And, Captain, I do not want any lazy booking like we saw last time of leaving matches as they are. This is still a competition, and this is the final. I expect a good, clean fight. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy what we do here at WrestleBuddy, if you like the content we put out, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the page, and sharing this video along. It really helps us out. It's the only way YouTube algorithm really knows we exist. Thank you very much. And thanks to everyone who's joined us tonight, who's watching live, watching along. Russ, good to see you.
Yes, good to see you, Russ. I've been holding that in. Thanks for joining us, bud.
And so we're taking this in turns.
You are
How many
taking
matches
it
you
in
want to go with?
turns.
You want to go with 10? You want to go with 8?
8. This is a god-awful card.
That's why you've got to make it better.
So we can't leave any. So you're saying you don't want lazy booking? What if we left one match though?
That's acceptable. I'll let you leave one match. And I think I know which match that's going to be.
Yeah, I'm not taking that. We can't take that one off.
No,
Well, how about we do this? How about we do this, Cap? We're going to do 9 matches because we're leaving that one on the show.
Obviously.
Okay. We're leaving the triple threat tag title match, and that's going to be the opener. So we'll book after that. That's that. I think that's what we need to do there.
Okay, that's fair.
Wait. The triple threat tag title.
Yeah, the
Edge and Christian versus the Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys. Ladder match.
Oh, I thought you meant the actual wrestling match between the triple threat for the 2 belts.
No, the tag title match.
No, the tag title match.
Okay.
That one needs to stay. We can't take that off the card.
It's literally the only thing that makes WrestleMania 16 watchable.
So that's the opener, and we book from there.
that's the opener, and we book from there.
Yeah. We're gonna put that to the front because I don't think we should be touching that one, and we're not gonna get an easy pass for either one of us where I can just say we're keeping that one, or you can just say we're keeping that one. I'm gonna make this fair. I'm not gonna steal something there.
This is fair. This is absolutely fine by me.
Look at that! Look at that! The king's being fair. I am a fair royal man.
Okay.
All right. You've got 30 seconds, gents.
Who's going first?
I'll go first.
Fuck. Give me a few extra. I'm trying to get this up so I don't repeat shit. Okay.
So, Jimmy, you're saying you want to open with the...
You're going to open with the triple threat
matches to open the show with, because they get the crowd hot. They get the crowd ready. And since neither one of us should be able to just take a easy turn there and say, let's keep this one, I think it's fair to put it in the front, and then we just book after that. If we
fair enough.
I'm just trying to make it as fair as I can.
Okay.
Chaz.
I'm ready.
Right. Are you ready, Captain?
I'm ready.
You have 5 minutes to book WrestleMania 16, which is opening with the triple threat tag team match between the Dudleys, Edge and Christine, and the Hardy Boys, starting now.
Okay, yeah, we're leaving that one alone. So, second match, I'm going to go Boss Man and Godfather. Godfather offers to host a Boss Man. Boss Man rejects, and Godfather gets the win because screw Bull Buchanan. Sorry, D'Lo Brown, you're not on my main.
Jimmy, match number 2.
Okay, I'm going for a hardcore battle royal where I'm going to do Hardcore Holly, Crash Holly, Al Snow, Farouk, Bradshaw, and Viscera. So we have multi levels of wrestling going on in this crazy hardcore match.
Okay.
And Crash Holly obviously wins because he's 400 pounds.
Okay. Cap, match number 3.
Match number 3. Let's see here.
1 minute gone.
Terry Runnels and the Cat. Gonna leave that one, but I'm gonna flip the decision. It's gonna be Cat going over because she got totally disrespected. Yeah, I got to go with Cat over Terry Runnels here. Although I'm taking Mae Young and Moolah out of this thing because I do not want to go blind.
Jimmy, match number 4.
Okay, I don't know what he just said. It's a women's match?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go. We're going to have Kurt Angle doing double duty. He was double champion, yes?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so he's going to have to pull double duty. He's not going to do this 2 out of 3 fall stuff. We're going to have him do in the first match, defending the European title against Chris Benoit and Christian. No, he's already in a match. And D'Lo Brown.
Okay.
The greatest European champion of all time. So, yeah.
Yep.
And D'Lo Brown wins.
Okay.
So
Cap,
D'Lo goes over Angle and Benoit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Match number 5.
I said it.
All right. So then we're going to get for the Intercontinental title, it's going to be Jericho and Angle, and Jericho's going to catch Angle in that one for the Intercontinental title.
Okay. Jimmy, match number 6.
Okay. I'm assuming this is about the time that Kane was feuding with X-Pac, yes?
You are correct.
So I'm just going to do a flat-out Kane versus X-Pac in a cage match.
Okay. Penultimate match, please.
And X-Pac goes over in that match.
Okay.
So as much as, the McMahons tried to do the McMahon in every corner, that was some nonsense. It's going to be triple threat, Triple H, Rock, and Foley. And, just take the McMahons out of it. Let it be Triple H. He can have Stephanie, but then Rock and Foley are going to be the other 2 down there. And Foley is going to catch Triple H, Mrs. Foley's baby boy is going over at Mania, winning the World Wrestling Federation title.
And Jimmy, main event.
So what did he just say? Sorry, it was Rock and Foley. Rock versus
Foley and Triple H for the world title. Mick Foley goes over.
Mick Foley versus Triple H in a triple threat for the world title. What an asshole.
Main event, please.
I could literally do anything I want then, yeah?
Yep.
Can I pull out some crazy shit?
Do what you like.
Okay. I'm going
You got 2 minutes.
Vince McMahon. You can stop me if this is wrong, but we're gonna go ahead and fast forward the whole invasion bullshit. Vince McMahon versus Eric Bischoff for control of the companies.
Okay.
I gotta one up the world title match somehow. So
Okay. No, I'll give you that. And time. Right, gents. That was very interesting. Cap, you minus 1 point for leaving a match as it was. Right. Therefore, Jimmy, 4.5 stars. Cap, 4.35 stars. Gentlemen, are you ready?
No, hold on. I'm doing it again. I'm an idiot. I keep trying to type on my laptop, but I'm trying to type on this thing. The computer doesn't work for me. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Gentlemen, are you ready to find out what you are booking?
No.
For the final round of Buddy Wars?
All right.
Right, gents. 5 minutes. As you know, I thought long and hard about this. And it could have been many, many shows. But I had to pick one that was relevant to this feud. This feud that has grown through Buddy Wars. This feud that has presented me with such joy. Boys, it's Steiner Maths. You're rebooking Sacrifice 2008.
That's like the first thing that popped up on Google as soon as I hit TNA.
Because it's an awful show that's remembered for one really good promo. You have 2 minutes to prepare. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you very much to everyone that's joined us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure of mine to do this show. I love to get these guys and pit them against each other in fantasy booking. It brings a smile to my face, and I hope you really enjoy it at home. As I said before, if you'd like WrestleBuddy, if you enjoy the content we put out, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It's free. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm really knows we exist.
Sweet mother of Jesus.
Yes, I know, but the roster you have is amazing. The roster you have available in TNA in 2008 is amazing. That show is trash. It had no right being trash, considering the people available. Right, you've got 30 seconds, gents.
The hardest part for me is knowing who the fuck these champions are.
As in, you don't know who the wrestlers are? Or
I don't know who the champions are. I got the card. I got the roster. I just don't know who champions are. I know Samoa Joe's the world champion.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Team 3D is the tag champs.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the knockout champion is, I don't know.
Believe it was, Angelina Love.
Okay. And then the X Division champion. That's all I need to know after that.
X Division champion in 2008 was Christopher Daniels, I believe.
Okay. And does injuries matter here?
You know what? It's the final, and I threw you a curveball.
I have no way of knowing who the fuck was injured.
Injuries don't matter.
Okay,
ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the final round of Buddy Wars. Gents, who's going first?
Who went first last time?
Captain.
I'll go first.
Okay. 8 matches, 10 matches.
We're going to go 8 for sure. I don't think Cap's going to disagree with me there.
No.
Okay. Right, gents. It's time. It's Vader time. Go.
Okay, I'm going to go with, to open the show, the machismo, Jay Lethal, decked out full on Macho Man as I remember him, the little bit I've seen of him, and he's taking on Sting, so we get an old fashioned Macho Man Sting style match there. So Jay Lethal versus Sting in the opener, and I'm gonna go ahead and let Sting win one. I never let him win. I'll let him win one.
Okay, Captain, match number 2, please.
Second match, I am going to go with, not in this screwy tag team tournament, but for the tag team belts, I'm going to do Hernandez and Homicide against Team 3D.
Okay, nice. Jim, match number 3.
I am going to go with a 4-way to determine the number 1 contender for the X Division title, in which we will have AJ Styles versus Chris Sabin versus Alex Shelley versus come on. Sanjay Dutt.
Okay. 3 minutes gone, Jets. Sorry, 2 minutes gone, Jets. 3 minutes remain. Captain, match number 4.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to go with Christian Cage versus Booker T. 2 out of 3 falls.
Very nice. Very nice. Jimmy, match number 6.
Okay, X Division Championship.
Sorry, match number 5.
Yes, X Division Championship. We're going to do Christopher Daniels. This is tough. Was it Christopher Daniels? I'm not seeing him on the...
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was X Division champion around 2008, but I can't remember when.
Fuck. I'm not going to do it because I don't see him on the card. I don't see him on the roster. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a Bobby Roode.
Okay.
Versus Abyss.
Okay. That's not about match number 5. And match number 6, please, Captain. 1.5 minutes remain.
All right. Let's get the women in here, but let's clear things out. Let's do Gail Kim against Jackie Moore and ODB.
Okay. Jimmy, match number 7.
Question before I go. It says on here that Steiner defeated Kaz. Samoa Joe defeated Kaz and Scott Steiner. Did that mean Kurt Angle got hurt or something? I thought he was in that match.
He was in that match, but Kaz and Scott Steiner were on the opposing team.
Okay. So I am going to go Petey Williams versus
1 minute left.
I'm sorry. I'm trying. Petey Williams versus Austin Creed.
Okay. And Captain, main event, please.
Looks like this is all that's left on the roster. Samoa Joe and Scott Steiner for the World Heavyweight title. And Joe is going to take out Scott Steiner.
Okay, gents. And, I don't need to say time. We're done.
I knew I should have fucking took Kurt then.
All right, gentlemen. Careful consideration of both your books. I can't believe I'm going to do this. You both get 5 stars. I told myself I was
for
not
TNA or for the whole thing.
For the whole thing. It goes up as it goes. You've both done a phenomenal job throughout the series. I've been thoroughly impressed with both of your books. Your wrestling minds are brilliant, and someone should give you a job somewhere.
I've been saying this for years.
As have I.
It's 5 stars all round. And I said I wasn't going to give a 5-star rating out in this series, but what do you know? I'm breaking my own rules. Right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been Buddy Wars. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining Captain. Thank you so much for joining Jimmy. If it wasn't for you guys, this show wouldn't happen. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in. Thank you to everyone that enjoys the content that we put out. Thank you to everybody that enjoys Buddy Wars. If you want to know who's going to win, it's up to you to decide. As per usual, we will be running a poll on Twitter and on Facebook that will run till next week. And then next week, during our weekly podcast on Sunday, we will announce the winner.
So we have one less day to vote this time, folks.
Right, it will be announced on Sunday next week. The winner will be announced. And ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce the Buddy Wars will be returning for season 2. When? Not entirely sure yet. It's going to be a while. It might be a few weeks off. But Buddy Wars will be returning to season 2. There will be a twist in the way the system works now. And I'm hoping that we can put the buddies up against some of our fans. Look, there is no conspiracy, Jim. All right, it is season 2. Season 2 is totally removed from season 1. Totally removed from season 1. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I've been Nick the Geek. He's been El Capitan. He's been Jimmy Bebe. Thank you so much. We love you all. This is the part where we wave goodbye.
Raw recap tonight. Make sure you don't miss it, baby.
Vote Captain.